Hello and welcome to
Detroit.
Now, we all know that this city's had its highs and lows over the years, but it is now thriving, and we want to show you that and how it's ready to welcome you all.
We've also found some of the best places to go here in Detroit.
Detroit is an iconic US city with so much to offer. Whether it's the vibrant, refreshed downtown, the chance to immerse yourself in its Motor City history, or celebrate the musical revolutions made here. It's packed with culture and history.
Detroit is a global city, and we have three things that make us so special. It's our art, our music, and our innovation. Detroit didn't invent the automobile, but we certainly put the world on wheels by inventing the assembly line and changing the way that people purchase and drive cars to this day. We also have not one, but two world-changing music genres. Motown in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, and of course, techno music in the 1980s. The last thing I'd say is, of course, our art. Detroit is the only UNESCO City of Design in the United States and one of only 43 in the world. So this is just a city that is really about inspiring people, having great conversations with people, and having a lot of fun.
We're going to try to show you all of this with our top 10 places to go in Detroit.
Unfortunately, the other three weren't able to make this part of the trip, so we're going to do this father and son style.
Let's do this.
First up, this is Motor City, so we had to visit the Henry Ford Museum, which is one of the best in the USA. It opened in 1906 and began as Ford's personal collection of historic items. That's Henry Ford's old runaround car. Now, this museum isn't just about Ford cars at all. It has the history of the automobile, and it has some very special cars from all manufacturers as well. Even this one here, which is the very car that JFK was shot in. So it really does have so much history and so many special moments in here. It's also not just limited to cars at all. It's a history of society, of technology, of flight, of engineering, of time, of science. So there is so much more to this museum than cars. Talking about moments of American history, this is the chair that Abraham Lincoln was assassinated in. Something I never thought I'd get to see. And this is the actual bus that Rosa Parks was arrested on for refusing to give up her seat. It kick-started the civil rights movement in the 1950s. This place is a real treasure trove of a museum, and so much for the kids to touch and see. If perhaps you are looking for more on Henry Ford's motor legacy, you can book for a very special behind-the-scenes tour.
So this is the Bruges tour, which is the original Ford factory, the big, huge assembly line one, where they used to make this. And actually now they've got to the point where they're making this. And it's crazy because this is the only place in the actual tour where we're actually allowed to film, because everything's so top secret. We got to go in the factory, we got to see how they make everything. It's amazing to see the history of the Ford company and then see how they're making cars today.
The tour really brings home what Henry Ford did for the motor industry, but it also explains a lot about Detroit's history and brings this to life. There's another spot at the Henry Ford which really brings the past to life. This is Greenfield Village, where you'll feel as though you've stepped back to a time where Model Ts and horses ruled the roads, and where you can catch a steam train to get around. The 80 acres of land is brimming with history, especially a few houses in particular, such as Thomas Edison's lab where he had that light bulb moment. Yep, Ford bought the buildings and moved them here to Michigan. You can be as educational as you like, or just have fun wandering around the village, looking inside the old shops, or meeting the animals at one of the 4 working farms. Let's go back to modern day by heading downtown. It's super clean and safe. The big brands are back, and it's amazing to see the mix of old and new in the city.
What did you say to me about the buildings out here?
Oh, they're so much bigger than like England or whatever.
It's cool, isn't it? And also, like, the buildings are like old school Art Deco still. So they haven't been knocked down and made into those modern kind of ones, which is really cool. So they've got lots of character. But then we've got kind of the new ones over here, and then the cool murals as well. Loving it. It's cool. So back alleys in the States are always kind of notorious. They could be a dangerous place. But here, they've actually made the most of it and actually turned it into a beautiful and cool place to hang out, and turned it from completely, flipped it 180 from somewhere you would never want to go to the cool place to go. So I think that was a speakeasy someone's just gone into. Oh, where is it? Oh, it's so secret we can't find it. Yeah, I think that is one of the speakeasies there. But it's so cool to see. What a cool way to actually bring it to life and put the cool back into Detroit. I love it. It's really cool.
Right in the centre is Campus Martius. This is the gathering place for locals and visitors, with a park, restaurant and even a beach bar. It's been named the #1 public square in the country by USA Today, and you can see why with the design and the events it puts on here. Literally across the road is Monroe Midway. During the summer, it turns into the city's playground with mini golf, roller skating, and a unique opportunity to shoot some hoops in the shadow of the Detroit skyline. Let's keep the cool music going to try and pretend that we're really good at basketball, even though it actually took us 15 minutes to get one in.
I just wanna have fun, clap my hands, turn around now and dance, dance, dance. I just wanna have fun, clap my hands, turn around now and dance, dance, dance. I just wanna have fun, clap my hands, turn around now and dance, dance, dance. I just wanna have fun.
There are loads of cool and classy places to eat downtown, but there's also a hot dog cuisine that's become a local delicacy.
I don't know why, but we've spoken to about 3 or 4 people from Detroit before getting here, and they've all said you have to try Coney's in Lafayette. So here we are, we'll see what it's like. What do you think?
I think it'll be good.
Okay, let's find out how good it really is.
There are actually 2 Coney's on Lafayette. You see, there was a family feud here in the 1930s, and one brother decided to open up a rival restaurant right next door. Detroiters now famously pick a side over which restaurant makes the best chili dog. Come in and try one so you can join the debate. A short drive from downtown is Belle Isle. This is a 985-acre park on the river. It's a state park, so you'll have to pay to get in, but you'll find lots of free activities. Even the oldest aquarium in the USA is free. It opened in 1904, but make sure you go Friday to Sunday, otherwise it'll be closed. The Nature Centre is open every day of the week. It's perfect for the smaller visitors, as it has lots of interactive displays, plus some of the local residents live here. You could come here for a sunset walk, or just a scenic drive at any time of the day to get away from the city for a few hours. We'll go back to downtown in a bit, but I think it's time to visit the place in Detroit which changed the world musically and culturally forever. This is Motown.
When I knew we were coming to Detroit, I knew we had to come to Motown. It is one of the places that changed the world, in my eyes, musically forever. And it still has so much influence today as well. So I wanted to come here to pay homage as a pilgrimage to what happened within these walls here.
We did get to go inside for the tour, but I wasn't allowed to take any video. So we're switching to a photo montage for this part. Now, I don't know if I was just fanboying a bit too much, but I really got the feeling that something magical happened inside this house. I don't know if it was the rooms, which had been kept as they were in their heyday, or the costumes, or the music you can imagine hearing filtering up from the basement. The stories were amazing. From the use of the attic to help record that famous Motown echo, to Berry Gordy's clever choice of album covers to make sure the early records sold. His time on the Ford assembly line also gave him the idea to bring rough diamonds to the studio and turn them into pop stars, rather than searching for precious rocks around the country. It worked. At the end of the tour, we all got to sing My Girl, which means I can officially say I've sung in Studio A at Motown.
Bucket list tick. Embarrassingly, it wasn't until last year that I found out that Motown actually stood for Motortown, and that's where the nickname came from. I just literally thought it was a genre of music all my life. Now I've been here, and I can say I've been here, do it. It's going to have a big renovation in a few years' time, and it's going to look totally different, and it's going to be brilliant.
Let's go back to Detroit's technological innovations, which is celebrated at the Michigan Science Center. This is a brilliant interactive museum for kids, and even the pre-nagers. You can touch and test everything. There are also live shows where you can be part of the action and see how epic science can be. There's also an exhibition on the top floor which changes every few weeks. It was the science of gaming for us. Perfect for a father and son trip.
This is my kind of gaming. Here we go. I'm still just as good.
Next, head to the Outdoor Adventure Center on Detroit's riverfront. This is another interactive experience which gives you a taste of Michigan's great outdoors in the city. Where else would you get to walk under a waterfall, reel in a fish, paddle a kayak on the Great Lakes, ride a snowmobile through the mountains, and then drive an ATV through the forest? Really young children will love being able to do grown-up things safely. And I can tell you that grown-ups will have great fun doing the kids' activities too.
Forget the kids. I'm having more fun than them.
Top tip: when you're done for the day, leave the car in the parking lot and cross the road where you'll find yourself on the Detroit Riverwalk. For the third consecutive year, it's been named the best riverwalk in the States. The landscape changes every few minutes as you move from lighthouses and marinas to nature areas, and then finish at a carousel and cafe with views of the city.
It's a beautiful place to go for a stroll, go for a walk, and the cool thing is, well, of course you're next to the river, but look over here. This is really close, it feels like, but it's actually a whole different country. It is, of course, Canada. And the funny thing that you can say about being here on this river walk is that it's actually south of the city. So we look south at Canada because normally they're the northern neighbours, aren't they? But you're actually really close to downtown, and it's just a whole little oasis away from everything else.
You can spend as long as you want on your walk. It's such a nice place to hang out.
Right, we're off on a bit of a road trip up to Lake Michigan. We're going to find out what this state is like in the summer and have some fun up there. Join us on that video next. I have absolutely loved Detroit and actually fallen in love with it. It's got a bit of everything in there, which has been really cool, and it's been nice to share it with you, Dylan. Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah.
Good. I'm going to go pick up the family now from the airport for the road trip. Come and join us. See you in the next one.